Okay, today we're going to be reminding ourselves how to graph linear functions when they are in different forms. Now, we have covered 3 different forms of linear functions in the past. Today we're going to talk about 2 of them. The first one we're going to talk about is slope-intercept form. So what you should be thinking right now is what is slope-intercept form? So slope-intercept form, hopefully you're remembering it, is y equals mx plus b. And then you should be thinking, and what do those certain parts represent? Well, the m represents the slope, okay, which we can also from yesterday recall as the rise over the run on a graph. And the b represents the y-intercept. And just to get a little bit more detailed for your notes, this is where the line crosses the y-axis. So when you are given equations that are already in slope-intercept form, they're pretty easy to graph. So our first example that we're going to graph is one that looks like this. Y equals 3 over 2x plus 5. So looking at this, it looks like y equals mx plus b. That means it's already in slope-intercept form. So that means I can automatically get 2 pieces of information. I can automatically find out what the m and the b is. So my m here, my slope, is 3 over 2. And my b, my y-intercept, is a positive 5. Now, if you recall graphing in the past, we used these to make our graphs. The first thing we did is plot the y-intercept. So in this case, it's positive 5. So that means I would go up to 5 on my y-axis, and I would put a point. And then I move using the slope. So if I look at this, it's m equals 3 over 2. Well, 3 is positive, and if we think up here, that's the rise. So positive 3 rise would mean I would move up 3. And then the 2 is the run. A positive 2 run would mean I go to the right. So from my y-intercept, my 5, I would go up 3 and right 2. But if I go up 1 box, I can't go up 3 boxes. My graph doesn't do that. So that means instead of going up 3 and right 2, I can also reverse both of these directions and go down 3 and left 2. So from here, I can go down 1, 2, 3 boxes, so 3 corners, and to the left 2. And now I know that that is another point on this line. And I can do it again. Down 1, 2, 3, to the left 2. Perfect. And I maybe can do it again. Down 1, 2, 3, to the left 2. Great. If I try again, I run out of space again. So I now know that this is the line that represents y equals 3 over 2x plus 5. Things that you can check is you can check to make sure that it's positive because the slope was positive. My line is going up. My line did start at 5. And you can even start at any point and make sure up 1, 2, 3, the right 2, in case you had to change those directions. So that's the first one. Example 2, we're going to stay looking like y equals mx plus b. Okay, so here it is. Example 2 is going to be y equals x plus 2. So the first thing I want to do is identify that y-intercept. Well, my b, y equals mx plus b. So there it is. It's positive 2. So that means I can go to my graph, and I can go to 0, 0, and then I want to go up 2 on the y-axis because it's the y-intercept. Now my m, I don't see a number here. I don't see a coefficient in front of the x. And that's where you have to remember, if there is no coefficient, that means it's a 1. So my m is 1. Well, now that doesn't look like a fraction. And I need to make it a fraction so I know how much I'm rising and running. Well, if you ever have a whole number and you want to make it a fraction and you need to keep it equivalent, you would just put it under 1 over it. So now I get my directions. So now if I'm looking at this, positive 1 rise means I go up. Positive 1 run means I go to the right. So from my y-intercept, I would go up 1 box, right 1 box. Up 1 box, right 1 box. And I keep going in that same exact order. Now I can't go anymore. But my graph does extend over here. So this is where you can do that switch again. You switch both directions, not one, both. So instead of up, I would go down. Instead of right, I would go left. So now I can go down 1, left 1, down 1, left 1. And I can keep going in this fashion until I can't fit anymore. Then I connect my lines nice and straight, and I put arrows at the end to signify this is a line that goes on forever and ever. Okay, last example of slope-intercept form is going to be this one. Y equals negative 5 over 4x minus 3. And I'm actually going to have to move it down here so that way I can put my stuff down here so you can see it. So I do the same thing. Let's look for our y-intercept. Y equals mx plus b. Ooh, now our y-intercept is a negative. So b is negative 3. And my slope. Well, my slope is a negative 5 over 4. And now this is where a lot of people tend to mess up. The negative sign. It is not with both, because if I have a negative over a negative, that would turn positive, and that would be different. So it's really only just with one. It doesn't matter which one you put it with. I'm going to put it with my numerator. So I'm going to make it look like this. Now I can think about my rise and run. If I'm rising a negative 5, that means I'm now going down. If I'm running a positive 4, that means I'm now going to the right. So I'm going to start by plotting my y-intercept, which is negative 3. So down 3, put a point on the y-axis. Now I try to go down 5, and I can't. That means I'm going to change my arrows on my paper. So instead, I'm going to go up and left. So I'm going to go up 5, and then I'm going to go to the left 4. Great. Can I go up 5 again? Nope. This time I only get 2 lines. That's okay. I'm going to connect them nice and straight, and I'm going to do the same thing and put an arrow at the end. And there is the line y equals negative 5 over 4x minus 3. Okay. The only other formula that we're going to look at today is standard form. Now, some of you will remember standard form from the past. Standard form looks like this. AX plus BY equals C. And we can't graph in standard form unless we have it in slope-intercept form. So that's what we're going to make sure that we do. So my first equation for this one is going to be 2x plus y equals 1. Well, I need to make this look like y equals mx plus b, which means I need to get the y by itself. That means I need to move positive 2x to the other side. If I want to move positive 2x, that means I have to subtract 2x from this side and from this side. So that means I end up with just y equals, and now I'm going to write the x part first so it's in front. So negative 2x, and then I had this 1 and it was positive, so plus 1. Okay, so now it looks like y equals mx plus b. Let's list our m and our b. So my b here is positive 1. My m here is negative 2. So that's pretty good because now I can know to start at 1. So I go up 1 on the y-axis. But again, when I get to my rise and my run, I only have a rise. That means I need to put under 1 so I can see which direction. So a rise negative 2 means I'm going to go down 2, and I'm going to go to the right 1. So I'm going to go down 1, 2, right 1. Down 1, 2, right 1. And I'm going to keep going. Or I'm going to do the double change, up and left. So I'm going to go up 2, left 1, up 2, left 1. That's as far as I can go. I'm going to connect my lines and put arrows at the end. So that's graphing if it's in standard form. We change to y-intercept form, slope-intercept, and we graph it. Last example for today. It's going to be very similar to the one above, just one step different. Our last example is x minus y equals 4. So the same thing, I need to get the y by itself. That means I need to get rid of x. X is positive right now, so that means I need to subtract x, subtract x. So now I have a negative y equals, write the x first, negative x, and this is still a positive 4. But the y isn't by itself yet, and technically there's an imaginary 1. Well, how do I get rid of a negative 1? I divide. And if I divide over here, I have to divide the negative x and the negative 4. That means I end up with y equals negative and negative, they cancel out. So just x. Positive 4 divided by negative 1 is a negative 4. So if I list my m and my b here is negative 4. My m is 1, so let's remember to put it over 1. So I'm rising 1, that means up and right. Or I can go down and left. So now you should be able to put this all together without even watching me. Go to negative 4 on the y-axis, and you go up 1, right 1 until you can't go anymore. Or you go down 1, left 1 until you can't go anymore. And then you connect with a nice straight line and arrows at the end. There's your 5 graphing problems, 2 slope-intercept, and 2 standard form. Good luck!